So just a couple of housekeeping items I'm going to go over really quick, and then we're going to introduce our speakers and let them take it from here. So welcome to our last Sitecore strategy webinar for this calendar year. We will begin them again in 2025. We have not determined the dates of those, but we typically start them February, March area. So we will be doing those again. So stay tuned for more of those. In the meantime, MVP applications are due on November 30th at 8 p.m. PST time zone. So if you could please get all those in. If you need more information, I've posted 2 links here. I'll also put them in the Q&A section so that you guys have access to them, and I'll also put them in the chat section as well so that everyone can go there if they need to. mvp.sitecore.com is the easiest one to remember, and type in yourself if you need to, and that has all the information that you need as well. All right, and the favorite part, here are our speakers today. We have Ketan from Icreon, and we have Isabelle Stephen from Sagittarius. We have Colin McIntosh from Wolters Kluwer, and here's their topics and their briefs. There's a lot of detail there. These are going to be some great presentations, so we're excited to get started. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ketan.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let me start by sharing my screen. All right, let me know if you guys can see this.
Yes, you are good.
All right, okay. So the session is primarily about how businesses and organizations can move up the customer experience maturity curve while leveraging search. And when it comes to search is so broad of a topic. So in this session, I tried to segment it by showcasing why it really matters and what can we actually do with Sitecore Search. And when I say Sitecore Search, not just the search product, but also the Discover product, and combine together how they can really bring change to customer experience and elevate organizations in their maturity curve. So to start with, a little bit about myself. So I'm 2x Sitecore Strategy MVP based out of New York. More than 6 years of Sitecore experience. Started my journey with Sitecore Commerce, the legacy commerce product, and then moved up my way to all the SaaS products. Right now, I'm like super engaged with most of our customers on the SaaS product side. And one of the really cool product I like is Sitecore Search and how it brings about that change in the experiences and how we deliver those experiences to various interfaces. And on the right-hand side, you can see a little bit details about myself. You need to connect, talk to me about search. I can talk endlessly probably about any of the SaaS product, but search is my favorite. So I'll start with that. To begin with, there's a nice statement that talks about how the customer journey overall begins. And in the current day and age, it may just start with one word, and that one word needs to give us the context on what people are looking for, what's the intent behind it, how we can optimize that one single word and make it count. The search from a historical perspective has evolved so much, and it has become like really a center point when it comes to customer experience. And optimizing search is not just a, you can say, desire anymore. It's almost like a need. It leads to fewer customer issues, reduced costs. It can significantly enhance the customer experience. And how Sitecore Search brings that elevation is really what we are going to talk about, it and how businesses can make it count, and how to think about search not just as a tool, but as a mechanism to elevate and answer the questions that people are really looking for, to engage them, no matter what the interface they are on, right? So to begin with, I would like to talk about the evolution first. Like, search has gone through its own journey over the period of time. And then in the beginning, like when search was even discovered, people were like, oh, can we do keyword search? If I type something, can I get something that is a little bit more relevant to me? And results would take longer time. There was indexing, But it did provide a little bit of help, a little bit of context around that particular keyword. And that keyword was basically the gateway to start with the customer journeys. Then came semantic search. Semantic search is basically providing not just the search keyword, but also the meaning or intent behind it. It a little bit focus on the context, like what is happening, and it lagged a little bit of content categorization, but it became really good in terms of providing relevant textual content. It was like a mapping. If you search for Apple, you get Apple blogs and content around it. Then was universal search. People no longer want to search just articles or blogs or text content. What about images? What about videos? What about PDFs, news? Anything that is happening out in the world became immediately accessible as universal search gained its place in the wide web, right? And the overall perspective became a little bit more wider, and everyone had access to information that is out there, no matter what format it is on, right? The challenge then became is like, how do we organize the content? Like if someone remembers like older Google searches, plus like you get image, video, all those kind of results, and that led them to create their own knowledge graph, which created the contextual search. So it is now aware, it's now more personalized, it's more relevant to your history, more relevant to like where you are, more relevant to the general context of what someone is looking for, right? And that became the next step in the evolution around contextual search, where everything is now linked to each other, right? But still there was something lacking, which is like, what are the circumstances around the query? Am I actually in that phase of the journey where I'm just researching randomly, or is it like something I'm way deeper and I have to, type in those keywords 6 or 7 times in order to get a more accurate result, right? Then came a little bit more like cognitive search that improved the mechanism how we communicate with the search interface. Up till now, people were like, oh, let's search on text keywords, right? And queries and answer questions. And if someone had answered that question on a blog, and it will just give you that on top in terms of ranking, right? And I'm talking about search in general, no matter where we are at, right? The next evaluation tackled the question like, why only search with text? Why not search in terms of language that people speak? Search with images, search within videos. Like there are so many different ways we can search, and I'm a big fan of voice-based search, and that became more like a human-based interaction, right? But it still lagged that real-time speed and faster, accurate responses, right? And now we are at a cusp of evolution where Gen AI is also becoming part of that whole evolution, and you can search not just based on different mechanisms, but also based on like the exact intent that you want to translate. And you can actually conversion with an AI chatbot or with a search interface. Even Google now puts the AI search results for experimental purposes on top, and you can really leverage that. Since the launch, there has been a huge traffic that is now being driven through the generative AI search as well. There are Gen AI search engines, and the whole landscape shifted from just giving a single sentence or a keyword, a single box area where you can type in one single row, and you can now have conversation and evolve your conversations and dig deeper, research, provide more context, and really find the answer that we are looking for as soon as possible, right? And the lacking portion over here is still, in some cases, the accuracy is still lacking. Like we can't always rely on those responses, but it does give us a good context. It does give us a faster path to finding the answer that someone is looking for. And this evolution is like really, you can say, game changing now that we are looking at Gen AI in terms of looking at search. Now, why does search matter for customer experience, right? Customer experience is, and when someone talks about customer experience, like it's like every touch point. And I think personally is like search is almost like um, as important as the customer experience as a whole. Reason being, search is like half of the interaction that anyone is coming to the site. You can't showcase all the information in every single page if someone is coming to the home page or landing page or any particular page. You can't have all the context, no matter how great the page is structured and content is represented. Search does become at least touch point in the entire journey of finding something on any particular site or anywhere in the overall journey as well. It may be searching from external sources, then coming, searching somewhere else, then coming to the brand, to the business. But why not have that search capability within the brand website and experience also, right? And this is a nice metric. It's like 43% of website visitors directly go immediately to the search bar, right, and start searching. And when they enter a site, because the expectation then becomes like, if I search, I can directly navigate to that deeper page, which will provide me the final answer, as opposed to navigating through the header navigation or finding it somewhere else. Unless it's like a great use case for personalization, we immediately know that when someone lands on this page, they are looking for this. Let's show them the same content directly up above, right? I think most of the organizations are not there yet in terms of personalization also. So search becomes a key part of giving that interface, giving that tool to look for what people are looking for, right? Um, Higher engagement in terms of interacting with the website, how how instant results can be generated is something that's like a baseline expectation now, right? The speed of producing those results is like a baseline, and how we can quickly provide those answers is really important, right? And that impacts the satisfaction rate, right? The effectiveness or the seamlessness of search directly impacts the satisfaction also. And we all know satisfaction is really important from that customer experience perspective. And the higher the satisfaction, easier it is. The retailers or any businesses can actually see an increase in their purchase rates, in their business metrics, in their revenue metrics, right? Now, search doesn't just provide us satisfaction or can be treated as a first touch point. It also can provide a competitive advantage in this day and age. So there was a study by Adobe, and like customers or businesses that are prioritizing their experience with the search being the central part of it, found that they are 3 more likely to succeed in their business goals, right? Now, this becomes a testament to like how we can provide that superior search functionality and set the organization apart from their competitors, right? And that's the whole context around how organizations can then evolve in the maturity curve when it comes to customer experience. But the effective search experience does comes with its own challenges. So the key challenges then becomes like frustration, right? If I can't find anything within a defined period of time, the attention span is like decreasing day by day, month by month, year by year. How can we provide that answer within 2 minutes? So that's like a benchmark, let's say, right? If we can provide that action, if we can provide that final answer someone is looking for, maybe it may be a product, it may be an answer that is deep within some of our content, right? How can we surface that and provide that as soon as possible? Could it be provisioned directly in preview search when we are searching, just suggestions, this is your answer, done, right? Can it be directly on the homepage, leveraging personalization and understanding like what the visitor is actually looking for, right? And that's basically the problem that Sitecore Search is also helping us solve, and we'll go through the expectation and use cases. The other portion is like business cost. Search and slow performing search or poor usability of search does not just impact the experience, but also impact the costs from a business perspective. If someone is not able to find something, they might be able like calling, I don't know how to return this item, or I don't know how to connect with you, right? Or how I couldn't find like what support you have on this product that I purchased X days ago, right? And um, I was recently, as an example, looking for a robot vacuum cleaner, and my pain point was like, how do I compare all of these different variants and all of these different types of vacuums out there? And I jumped and leveraged AI for helping creating those metrics and understanding like, okay, which one is best for me. Once I finalized and realized, okay, this is the right product, upon purchase, there was some defect and I had to really dig deep on the website on like, how do I actually fix this? Is there content around it? Maybe just a simple video explainer on how do I do that. And I, in the end, had to call the customer service. I called them, got the answer, and the answer was in a deep page that had a video, but was not searchable somehow because on that page there was no title. It was just a video on that page, and basically, I think the video wasn't indexed probably or anything. Right. So that led to an actual cost that could be attributed because of the poor search experience. If I would have found that on my own, it would have been seamless for me, easier for the business to convey that and reducing cost and elevating the experience also, right? So how do we reach that level where we can say, okay, the customer experience maturity can be elevated using the search experience, right? And in order to do that, um, comes in Sitecore Search, right? And when I say Sitecore Search, I'm not just referring to the search product and Discover product separately. I'm saying combined together. That's like search, no matter content, product, whatever we are trying to look for. And there are these 5 areas that really resonate with the customer experience maturity model, maturity curve, and we'll talk about that. And the first one is like how we can provide that unified discovery of content and products in one single interface. So we don't have to look here and there. We don't have to find things in different sites, different interfaces, different experiences. It could be combined together, each within their own category, from blogs to articles to videos to PDFs, right? How it can be attributed to different languages, how it can be tagged together and provide as like a one single resource pool of information that when you search on gives you the right information no matter what format it is on, right? The second portion was like how we can drive more visitor engagement also, right? Once Sitecore Search gets a search query, it starts profiling, it starts creating a visitor profile, an anonymous visitor profile based on the search interactions to identify like how we can boost those real-time content. And in that moment, as the search happens, the understanding becomes more and more deeper, and thus the results become more and more accurate, right? These contextual rules directly impact the business objective, and we can reduce that time or the time to respond to a customer or let them find what they are looking for as soon as possible, right? So that's really cool. The third part is getting the results. Blazing fast results, the best and fast way to see that in action right now is probably the Sitecore Search, Sitecore website, and you can just look for the result and the speed with which it provides the results through APIs, through pre-built components, and the interaction that really boosts that elevation overall in the maturity curve when it comes to customer experience. The fourth part is profiles. This is I think a key differentiator in terms of like how we can leverage visitors and their profiles and the content portion, and each content also being treated as its own profile. How is the content performing? So we are not just talking about visitors and what visitors are looking for, but also like, is this content translating the intent that it is supposed to? Maybe we need to optimize that content so that what people are looking for can actually find over here and make it a little bit more better. This led to a couple of content updates and content enhancements in some of the projects that we worked on. and just in general to improve the search relevance, recommendations, generate Q&A answers in a more timely manner as quick as possible, right? So this content profiling is really becomes a game changer. And then, of course, the controls, how easy it is to configure some of those controls from a user standpoint, from a business standpoint, and that brings in a wide variety of flexibility as well, right? Now, there are a lot of maturity models, and I think I am on time also. So I'll quickly jump through the next one. And there are so many maturity models out there. It's hard to pick one, right? You can choose any of them. But what we did was we evaluated all of these maturity models and said, okay, is there a common pattern? Is there something that search can do in those 7 stages or 6 stages? And that led us to create this sort of like a maturity model and how search can help you elevate on that front. So you can go from, sorting, filtering facets directly to query optimization towards the end. And it's just an iterative process, and how it could be more federated, more B2B oriented. And this is basically the whole capability set that Sitecore Search can provide in general, and elevate the experience on a step-by-step basis. You may want to go from 1 to N, and there are different ways of going about it, but this is how the search experience contributes to that entire customer experience perspective. And any of these topics probably will get a lot more information on Google. So I'll just stop here, move to the Q&A section. But this was the perspective on how search, and specifically Sitecore Search, provides that jump or that elevation in the customer experience maturity model.
Thank you, Ketan.
All right.
And yeah, go ahead over to Q&A. I don't see any in there, but I did post if anyone wants to ask any questions in there. It is there. All right, Isabelle, you are up next.
I'm muted, that is why. 1 second. Hopefully you can see that.
Yes, you're all set.
Fab. So when I saw the speakers today, obviously we've just heard about search, but I really wanted to talk about search as well, just from a recent project we've done. So hopefully this will follow on quite nicely and not be too repetitive, but it's more about product discoverability and how like XM Cloud search tagging, how we've used it on quite a complex project, and I kind of want to relate those best practices and those kind of methods for maximizing product discoverability to what we've done. So I kind of talk about that as I'll go along. So first, so who am I? My name's Isabelle. I'm a strategic consultant at Remarkable Group, formerly Sagittarius. I'm a Sitecore strategy MVP, and I've been working with Sitecore in a number of different roles for the last 3 years. Formerly in the UK, and now I'm in the UAE working still as a strategic consultant, but also in the business development side of it as well, out here in the Middle East, as a bit of a new challenge. So yeah, that's me. So yeah, meeting expectations. So I always think it's good to start with a stat. And so 68% of online shoppers won't return to our website with a poor search experience. So the importance of discoverability to us as marketers is, so it's important to us, but at the end of the day, it's important to our clients as well. And they need to stand out in crowded markets and constantly meet that rising expectation of the consumer for fast and relevant search experiences. So I kind of want to demonstrate how Sitecore's capabilities can enhance that product discoverability and ultimately start to build the key pillars for driving growth and also kind of loyalty within your customers as well. So I was inspired by this by a project we've been taking on. It's a company called Glory Global, and we've recently done a migration to XM Cloud and also implemented search. And it's been an interesting project. They have up to 9 languages. And obviously different regions come with that as well, and different products. They build and supply cash automation machines, so counting cash, ATMs, that sort of thing. And they have search all across the site, whether that's resources, products, and then they also have it broken down into different sectors as well. So there's a lot going on across the site, across regions, across languages, and that really meant we had to kind of look at the strategy when it came to search. And it's interesting, actually, I've just kind of submitted tips and tricks to SMAC as well, and talking about a content audit and how important it is at the start of these kind of projects. And that's definitely relevant to search as well, not just your kind of content strategy. So yeah, that's the project I'm kind of referring to as I go through this. So yeah, discoverability and user satisfaction. I've broken this down into 4 kind of quarters. So how tagging strategies improve search relevancy. So definitely tagging is for us when it came to the resources pages and the product pages, and how kind of those were linked, and making sure that we were surfacing relevant products, and enabling filtering as well. Like, that was really important. So filtering and refining searches for enhanced user satisfaction, boosting engagement with relevant related product recommendations and cross-selling, and using Sitecore for creating personalized intent search experiences. So 43% of shoppers go directly to the search bar when they visit an e-commerce site. And also, on top of that, they're 80% more likely to abandon the site if they encounter irrelevant search results. And that's just how essential, accurate, and relevant search results are to ensuring a smooth shopping experience, whether that is products or services. And it's for reducing site abandonment and ultimately impacting your conversions and revenue. So a strategic approach goes beyond the product basics. To be successful, it needs to take into account the context, the usage, and audience specific details. So when it came to our project, when you've got a site that's so content heavy, in so many, making sure that everything's tagged correctly, because you don't want to be surfacing a blog article when really your user is looking for a product. And so making sure your tagging strategy is accurate is really important. So yeah, your tagging strategy really drives relevance by kind of 3 main points I break it down into. So enhanced intent matching, so aligns results more closely with user search queries. Improve context, so helping the tool you are using to be able to prioritize content that really resonates. So for us, the search, it works by indexing the title and the content fields. So there you've got to make sure that we're kind of using concise language across all your touch points. So this can apply to we're searching for products and services in the one I'm talking about, but we also do a lot of work in the travel sector and tourism, and things like tagging family friendly vacations, so you can elevate relevant options. So also in terms of services as well, and providing a really unique user experience. So what is the role of the marketer, strategist, and the implementer? So in my mind, there's kind of 3 points. So data-informed tagging, using your search data and your insights to refine your tags. So whether that comes from your user data that you have, but also, as I said before, that content audit at the beginning, that site audit, aligning on kind of priorities and previous experience of the user as well. Consistency across all channels, so ensuring unified messaging and language in the tags across all your touch points, really important. Our site had so much content, so many languages, different regions, so making sure that was accurate and kind of the engine behind it, that Sitecore could do its job, is obviously crucial. And I think the key takeaway is that tagging is not just like a technical requirement, it's just a strategic marketing decision, and it helps shape that whole user experience. So the power of filtering. This was really important to us. And when you're in our case, there were different products that were relevant for different industries. So you really had to take that into consideration. That was a big part of our kind of filtering strategy. So, allowing that guided discovery, I think especially like a purchasing decision, in our case and in a lot of cases can seem overwhelming. There's so much choice in the market today. So guiding that discovery and leading users down the specific paths that are relevant to their unique needs and giving them their options is so important. The background of this slide is one of my favorite websites to use personally from a personal point of view. And just having the filters that you need and making that decision easy. It should be like going into the shop and you're speaking to someone on the counter and being like, hey, where's this? It should be as easy as that these days, because that's just how competitive it is. And then also conversion driven navigation. So it helps users, self-qualify by their preferences. And all of this is going to kind of improve the likelihood of their purchases. Also, another benefit of filtering, so the impact of it is better analytics. So by knowing what your users are filtering by, you can gain insights into what users are searching for, and also allows you to run more effective campaigns. So using data on popular filters to create targeted campaigns as well. So yes, that's that one. So what is the role of related terms? So we've looked at this for our project with Glory, because we were having search in the page templates. There were search components on resources as well as just product pages. So if someone's reading an article, that's got to be relevant to their products or what they'd be searching for. So allowing those kind of related items or suggested areas of the site or suggested industries really encourages that, shows users like products or services that are relevant to them, but they might not have initially considered. Obviously, a key benefit is kind of increasing that average order value and helping boost revenue. But not only having these, related products kind of towards the end of that user journey, having them throughout as well and guiding that user journey across the whole site. Something that was so good about using XM Cloud in this sense, and what will be brilliant moving forward, is the component library in XM Cloud and how we can kind of drag and drop search components throughout the site as we kind of continue to develop it. So that's really useful. And if the tagging's set up right, that should be really easy to drag and drop our components. So that's a really great takeaway. Cool. But at the end of the day, it really just comes down to enhancing the user experience and really getting value out of personalization. So user-centric results, catering to individual preferences, basing this on their history, behavior, demographics, really kind of enhancing stronger engagement and loyalty with your customers. If your site's easy to search, they're going to come back. They want to feel understood and prioritize. Just if they have like a really good experience with you in person, they want to feel like that when they come away from your site. You never want to leave a site being, if you can't find it, you're going to abandon. As I said earlier on in a slide, 80% of users, if they're using the search bar afterwards, if they don't get a relevant result, they're going to abandon. So lastly, the Sitecore advantage. So a unified experience for commerce and service industries. So a holistic approach to discoverability, so tagging, filtering, cross-selling, and personalization, really enabling the marketers and us from a strategy point of view to directly influence and measure customer experience at every touch point, and creating a scalable and adaptable method. So, from the point of adding the components in to your tagging strategy, it all being scalable as you go on, and kind of allowing the client as well that they could we personally, we offer training to our kind of clients and their marketers on their end, the fact that they can drag and drop search components and that kind of tagging strategy set up for them really kind of opens up a whole new opportunity. So yeah, thank you. That's kind of been our experience implementing search and XM Cloud, and kind of how I've related it to the key points of your search strategy as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Isabelle. And again, if there's questions, they can go in the Q&A. This video will also be posted on YouTube, so if we get questions or things that come up after, we'll be sure to reach out. Thank you, Isabelle. And then last but not least, we have Colin. And you are on mute, Colin, so you might unmute yourself. There you go. All right, and I can see your screen, so you're good to go.
And good stuff from the other two speakers. Thanks for sharing your experiences. So this presentation is a bit of a retread of our symposium presentation. We were up against Mo Sharif, who's the head of AI at Sitecore, so we didn't get as much there. So I wanted to share some of the really cool work we've done here at Wolters Kluwer and with our partner EPAM on making Gen AI think like your design team, right? So I'm the product owner of Content Hub here at Wolters Kluwer. Before this, I was at Sitecore on the professional services team, focused on Content Hub. And before that, I was at Hedgehog Development, a Sitecore partner. And I can't give this presentation without giving a shout out to my architect for this project and EPAM, Matt Knowles, not here presenting today, but a huge part of this project. So we heard a lot about AI, a lot about Sitecore Stream, and a lot of this is right in line with what we're thinking about internally here at Wolters Kluwer for AI. And we have currently we have AI embedded in a lot of our products, not as much in our marketing stack, but over 50% of our digital revenues have some sort of AI built into them. So we have a lot of internal AI capabilities. So when we talk about Stream being introduced, we also were really excited to hear this support for BYO AI. So bring your own artificial intelligence for organizations like us who are kind of experimenting, may not be fully mature, but we may still be evaluating Stream, but we do have the ability, if we develop something cool in-house, to plug it into any Content Hub in this case, but any of these cloud-based products. And we've heard from Dave Flanagan, since he was in charge of product, that Sitecore's goal is to be that good neighbor in your tech stack. So this presentation is about that kind of BYO AI because we were developing it in tandem with, I guess, kind of what Sitecore is working on. Principles, if you guys don't have AI principles for your company or for your projects, this is great to use. For ours, with the things, obviously focus on all of these, but for this use case, really focused on the transparency and explainability. Obviously privacy and security, but from a strategy standpoint, really focused on transparency and explainability. With Wolters Kluwer, we have 5 different verticals, very diverse set of products, thousands of products, global business units, 80 business units, lots of stakeholders, lots of marketing teams. We have over 600 marketers in our Sitecore CMS, and also like 600, 700 uploaders into Content Hub as well. So a very, very big team, a lot of different competing priorities, a lot of combined priorities, right? And a lot of unification that we're trying to get to there. A little about EPAM. I know we have some partners here. So just my note here is work with a great partner you trust, have really build that relationship because you can build some really cool things. The solution we're discussing today. What we're looking for in Content Hub DAM is we want to rapidly scale design and brand capabilities for everyone at Wolters Kluwer, all employees, to clearly communicate our brand vision to their prospects and customers, right? Very, very nice mission statement there. But it is really focused on, we had 5,000 employees in Content Hub last year. So it is a place where people come to get their PowerPoints, to get their logos, to get their photography. So it is really upscaling everyone from a quality and a quantity perspective. I love this line here from our head of branding. It's unique on-brand imagery to tell every story, right? That's what we're looking for. We want to be able to engage, we want to be able to connect in any audience with any setting, in any culture, right? That's what we're looking for. And some really key standard marketing things here. Whether you're using AI or a new workflow or any new tool, these are the things you're really looking to improve. And then the last one, of course, the last two are more specific to this use case, right? Where we want to get less reliant on stock images, which can be really expensive and complicated to license, and look more of owning those imageries, owning those photography without a lot of overhead. So an interesting challenge there. And then from a Content Hub perspective, I'm always focused on search. Isabelle, you had a great session on site search. It's the same in Content Hub, right? I always reference an e-com site is how you should think about Content Hub. So it's very metadata driven, very tag driven. So it's very similar in my brain for that. So for this case, we're really looking at photography. If we talk about stock imagery in the last slide, our DAM has a lot of pockets of off-brand photography, whether uploaded from for a certain campaign or by a division or a company we acquired that uploaded assets, or whatever it is. There's just pockets of things that do not meet our brand standards. We do not have a design review built into our DAM workflow. I mentioned we have a ton of marketers, a ton of creators, a ton of editors, but we only have a few designers, right? It's about 200 to 1, that ratio of uploaders and editors to designers. And there is a review process, so divisionally and from a business unit perspective, but marketers aren't always designers, right? They have different lenses of looking at imagery, to fit their page, to fit their campaign, where it may tell their story very well, but it may not tell the Wolters Kluwer story in the way we're trying to project. So there's that inconsistent application of the standards. And anyone who's worked in a DAM or anyone who's worked in any site, anything digital, you can always do better tagging. I think we are a chief, maybe not offender, but we have a lot of room to grow in our metadata tagging. So again, we're looking at ways to apply AI. We have two or three really big use cases where it doesn't make sense for us to scale with people internally with the resources we have, and we can look at AI to supplement and kind of turbocharge the knowledge we have without taking time away from revenue driving activities. This is just a brief overview of our on-brand photography. A few examples here. We'll see it's very different, right? We have abstract images, we have workplace images, we have several verticals, so the settings are always different. Sometimes it could be a boardroom, it could be a hospital, it could be an industrial location. So a lot of variety in the types of images. And from an on-brand perspective, if I'm a designer reviewing these, I have to review all these differently, right? If I have a headshot of our CEO, I need to evaluate that differently than a stock photo I'm grabbing or an abstract photo. These are all very different. And I can say, oh, this is good, right? Or this is bad very quickly. But a marketer who doesn't have that training and that same eye for photography or these discrete different requirements may not be able to discern what's on brand and off brand. So if we look at off brand, looking at black and white imagery, right? Graphic overlays, some very key visual things, but also we're trying to avoid traditional media. Wolters Kluwer was founded as a publishing company over 180 years ago, and we want people, particularly in Europe, that's kind of still how we're viewed as an organization, it's that publishing company. I met a Dutch couple when I was in Europe. They're like, oh yeah, you work for that publishing company. Like, no, we're a digital solutions company, right? We have expert insights and softwares that are extremely influential in healthcare and tax and accounting and all these other things. We're not necessarily printing textbooks anymore. So with our brand guidelines, we want the focus to be on technology, right? So it needs to be away from that traditional media. So it's all these kind of nuanced things that are very specific to our voice. And as we grow, they could change, right? We may have a product launch that we really want to focus on, hard copy books or something in the future. I don't know, but it could change. So these things are dynamic. They're very specific to your voice. So when we talk about Sitecore Stream, right, or BYO AI, you voice tailored to what your brand wants to communicate. And that's the thing that when I saw the keynote, I'm like, oh, we're totally aligned with this. This is exactly the thing we're trying to solve. Like that Stream is solving as well when you have that brand intelligence, that brand awareness, because AI in itself is not super helpful if it doesn't know what you're trying to communicate. You're going to get the same thing as everyone else. Okay. Photography. Hey, we kind of want more really good photos for our marketers to use, right? Let's, AI Dolly's out there, Claude's out there. We can just generate more photos. So we did a 2-day hackathon with Microsoft and got some pretty fun results, right? Very dystopian, creepy, monotone. These are all based off our current brand guidelines. We just threw them into a prompt pipeline and said, hey, give us some photos. And not the greatest. I don't want to put these on the homepage. I don't want to send this out in a global campaign or a national campaign or to a prospect that I'm talking to one-on-one, right? These are kind of weird. So the kind of takeaway from that image generation attempt workshop was we kind of need to reset our expectations on image generation, at least for now. Everyone can experiment and create a one-off or a something that may work as an abstract image, but we don't need to. We're not going to fully replace stock imagery like this year, right? So we did have some great learnings, like Gen AI pipelines are really cool for building brand aware AI. I'll touch on that a little bit further in the next slide. The idea of like one massive prompt to evaluate all your images, it's not going to work. It's silly. You need to have these bits and pieces that you can control very discreetly to modify, tweak, adjust, and have different prompts work together. We'll talk about the idea of treating prompts and models like an SME, like a subject matter expert for a very discrete thing. So that's something that we learned in this attempt to create these very funny images. Need more definition, clarity, really a refresh. Again, the images we created in the last slide, these are based on our brand guidelines. These are technically could be interpreted by someone, either a human or a machine, that these are on brand. These represent what we want to represent, which is obviously not true. So we need to adjust our brand guidelines a little bit. Super good at recognizing the very specific things about images, color, settings, people, all sorts of things. It's we all knew it was good, but getting your hands in there and trying a bunch of test images, you're like, oh man, this thing's serious. So it was a very cool exercise we went through there. We've been creating coming out of those sessions, right? If we look towards the bottom of this is kind of where we're starting out, and everyone in Content Hub can use the out-of-the-box Microsoft Vision tagging, right? You can adjust the temperature, you can adjust the accuracy, you can play with it, and it describes, what's happening in the image very accurately, typically, right? If it was a picture of me, it would say man, coat, green, beard, headphones, right? It's just very descriptive of what's going on in the image, but it's not relevant to your brand. Right, it's not going to say product owner for Content Hub, right? It's not going to recognize Colin McIntosh in that image. So when you move, everyone can start with this. I recommend if you have Content Hub and you are not adjusting your vision temperature and things like that, you should start there. It's very easy. It's included. To the more custom applications, and the stream will fit somewhere into here, right? This is where a stream comes in, but if you're building it yourself, we thought to ourselves, we could just build a vision model that has everything that's on brand and run it against our DAM and say, tell us if it's on brand or off brand, yes, no. And you could probably get pretty, so it's a little bit more relevant, but it's not really the standard we're looking for, but you could do that or for very specific things. We are in our use case here is this Gen AI pipeline that combines prompts, combines vision models, and can really be dialed in to give you a lot of brand relevancy. So we'll get to that a little bit more. And then I've been telling our team is how do we expect Gen AI to create on-brand images if it can't prove that it knows on-brand images and can't identify them and tell us why they're on brand. So that's why we see the creation piece of it a little bit further up this hierarchy. And then it's really becoming your creative partner when it can generate on-brand images kind of on demand. I'm gonna breeze through these. I'm getting a little short on time-ish, but for all assets, we go into supplement our tagging, give asset types, identify if an asset is photography, give a marketing description. There's things that will help search. For photography, here's kind of what we're really driving at. We want to give every photo that's in our DAM or uploaded in the future a brand score, 0 to 5. How well does this adhere to the brand guidelines for that photo type, for an abstract, for a headshot, for a workplace photo? And then also describe it from the perspective of a designer, right? And have that transparency and say, okay, this may be off brand, but why? Or this may be great, but why? That way, when our marketers go to upload something else, they'll know exactly what they're working with and why something's good or bad. Flexible architecture, and then ability to collect feedback, kind of standard stuff there. Here at Symposium, so you guys are getting the better version. Also, you guys can watch this back and slow me down to half speed to better understand because I talk fast. But what we're building here is based on custom vision models, prompts that are put together to use to create a Gen AI pipeline. So if I start on the right here, actually, we're just combining these other two. So vision models are essentially drop a bunch of photos, tell the model what each photo is or what set of photo is. And when you upload a new image, it determines which photo that's, or which group that's most like. So is this a photo? Is this an icon? Is this a marketing material? And you control that, not based on a black box of DALL-E or Microsoft or whatever. You get to control what those inputs are. So you could extend this to literally any tagging. We've talked about looking for individuals, like find our CEO. Is our CEO in this? Vision model can tell you. Prompt is talking with a chat GPT where you're saying, hey, give me the answer to this, evaluate this image for this specific thing. Together, each output determines the inputs to the next, which prompt runs next. There's all these things working together in a way that you configure, you control. And this way, when you get if an image is graded as a 5 and it's actually a designer says, hey, this is off brand, we can't use this, it'll explain, hey, which prompt gave us this answer, kind of. So we want that explainability and transparency. And here on the left here is an example of a weighted prompt. We get applied weighting to these just to give that score because not all criteria are equal. And then a vision model, just this, you can see here we have collateral, graphics, icons, photos. So you just dump a bunch of your images in there and tell us, you tell it what they all are. Here's what our model looks like. So a user uploads an image, it can be a PDF, photo, icon, whatever it is. Then we run that vision model to determine what is this, right? Is it photography? Is it an icon, collateral? And then we tag that to the DAM. So once we decide that this is photography, we then run our global photography check. So some things are universal, right? We don't want black and white imagery. We don't want graphic overlays. We don't want any explicit content, right? So we can grade that for anything. And while that's running, we're also determining what type of photo it is. Is it a workplace photo? Is it an abstract? Is it a headshot? So those two run once it's determined it's a photo. Here on the global photography checks, this is a set of prompts. This is maybe 6 or 7. It's not just one. So there's 6 or 7 prompts that run there, different SMEs, I guess you would call them, that are evaluating this image from a variety of different criteria. Once you determine the photography type, kind of same thing happens, right? We say this is a workplace photo, then we hit our different specific weighted prompts. And these prompts are weighted differently for different types. So for a headshot, the different weighted much differently than it is for a documentary style photo. And we're still dialing in how to weight these, and that's, it's not perfect just yet, but this is the process we're going through. Our photo type specific evaluations. Then we take the results of all those prompts, the weightings, and use that to determine a brand score. And then is justified by the brand analysis. The analysis is like, oh, this is good because of this. This is bad because of this. It's a black and white image. It's a 0, whatever it is. And we also tag that marketing description so that our marketers can find it. I'll link. So hopefully you can't hear it. So then this green part here is user feedback on if the user agrees with the analysis. This is a strong agree, strong disagree, neutral, things like that. And then they can say what specifically do they agree or disagree with. All right, so here's what it looks like. Just a screenshot. I did have a demo in here, but time. So again, we give that brand score, we give that detailed brand analysis, we give that description for a marketer, and then we have the feedback section. Over here on the right is the out-of-the-box vision model that this one's untrained. So I want to emphasize if you have that, train it, because in this case it says person in front of a window talking on a phone. It's not what's happening at all, right? So it's not even accurate in this case. It's definitely not relevant. We have a little iconography here, which is, again, an out-of-the-box content of feature. You just have to configure to show, hey, is it a 4, 0, 3, 1, 2, right? And then you can sort by that, filter by it. So if I'm going to select a photo, I'm using for the homepage, I'm going to want a 5, right? So you can review those things, and it's easier for our marketers to review if they have to do any retroactive removal, edits, stuff like that. So some best practices: got to start anything AI. Follow your organization's guidelines. Don't be a cowboy. Don't try to do it all, because it's going to take you longer and you're going to get in trouble and fired and all that bad stuff. So follow your organization's guidelines. Step 1. I talked about it before, but do think of different prompts and models as SMEs. Don't try to have one vision model that does everything. Don't try to have one prompt that tells you everything. Have discrete, specific things that each one is looking for. Don't overload it, and have those work in tandem and have them work as a team. Just from a performance standpoint, that's another reason not use one massive prompt. It'll take forever. Use a bunch of tokens. It's not going to be good. There are a lot of small ones that are more effective. You can choose what runs based on other images, so you don't have to run everything against everything. So a bit of a long-winded way to keep it concise. Improve prompts. So use AI to help you write better prompts. It's pretty cool. Big data set, great. And then involve a variety of stakeholders. My dog is losing her mind. I hope you guys can't hear that. We still need to improve this. This is still in POC mode. We are in our dev environment still. We need to improve the accuracy with our brand stakeholders, to improve our data set, to do the analysis on iterating our prompts, iterating our scoring, making sure that we can get to a very confident place when we roll this out. More detail on our brand analysis. I don't think it's good enough yet, so we'll improve that. We do need to adjust our documentation for our brand guidelines. We'll run it against everything. You can use tagging. I do see I'm at time. You can do it for all kinds of tagging. I have a laundry list of things I want to use this type of solution for. It could have it say, this would be good for a hero. This would be good for a card. This would be good for a biopic, whatever it is. You can do a vision model that determines all of that. Right, so once we have this, we'll learn how to train models to understand our brand. We'll do a separate approach, because it's a different engine, truly a different total philosophy for creating images versus evaluating. So we'll create, and then we'll run it back through here to be evaluated once those are done. All right, I am at time. More questions, please shoot me messages, or ask my dog, I guess. So here we go.
we could not hear your dog, so you're good. Noise cancellation worked.
That is incredible, because she is howling her face off. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much to all of our speakers. These were fantastic. Again, as we get more questions and stuff that come in when we post this, we will be sure to reach out individually to everybody and let them know, so you guys can connect outside of this presentation. But thank you so much. This was great, guys. I'm actually going to share it within the product team as well, to some of our product team members, so they can go back and review. Great material. Thank you, everyone.